Hello ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel Adam and Orange, where I bring you a lot of 3D metal model builds and show you how I do them. Next up on the table is another of the new Star Wars models from The Last Jedi. We have the Resistance Bomber. This looks quite interesting. It's a unusual shape, big long cylinder area and a giant wing sticking down. So this looks like it could be a bit of a challenge and a bit complex and fun to shape. Let's open this up, see what's inside and what we are in for. The Resistance Bomber. What's inside? I wonder. Two metal sheets, as to be expected. Put those aside. And two pieces of paper for the instructions. Opening up the first piece. We have what I've come to expect. Star Wars, Metal Earth, the line drawing of the completed model, and one of the sheets, 360 view, the QR code you can scan with your phone to see a 360 view, which the last time I did that for one of these new Star Wars, it wasn't up yet. The website you can just go to on your computer. We have one of the parts down here shown from this model and some information about the insertion tabs, fold line, insertion holes. We have the legend. You see the E pointing at something is pointing at the engraved side of the model. NE is pointing at the non-engraved side, or at least section, because sometimes there is engraving, but it may be pointing, the engraved bubble may be pointing at a section that isn't engraved, whereas another section on that side might be. Something I've recently learned. You have the attention point, and that's trying to get your attention to something important. Whether a lot of times it's the way the tabs line up or parts line up, but sometimes it may be something else. Occasionally there'll be wording along with it to explain what you need to pay attention to. You have the blue circle. When you see that in the assembly flowchart, it means to insert a tab, fold it over 90 degrees. Green triangle means to insert and twist the tab 90 degrees. And a little bit of an assembly tip here. If necessary, slightly twist tabs to hold parts together, then untwist and bend them down for a nice finish later once you've got more of the model together. Recommended tools, you've got wire cutters, tweezers, and needle nose pliers. I have the cutters I highly recommend, not necessarily wire cutters, but flush cutters to help snip the parts off. That'll make for a neater build. Down here we have the two sheets laid out, and I'll just grab one to show you. This is a layout of this sheet and all the part numbers pointing to the parts so you can find them and put the model together. We slide over to page 2 to the start of the assembly flowchart, starting with part 1. Here it is. Part 2, you've got ×2, so there's two part 2s. You fold them up, you add them on here, slide over, you bend this piece around and shape it, fold that up, go down to the next line, add in part 3, and just continue. These little red areas are showing you to fold or twist or bend or shape something. These are sometimes sub-assemblies. This is showing you to fold this part before adding it. Same here. And you just follow these directions, adding on the parts, folding, bending, and shaping as necessary. And you get to the bottom of 2, you flip over for page 3. Starting at the top, following the arrows, and then over to page 4 again, following the arrows top to bottom. And you get to the bottom of this page, you go on to the second piece of paper, to page 5. And on the inside of the second page paper is 5. Follow the arrows, are the large section, add the parts. Page 7, or excuse me, 6. Follow that, build that, do this. On the back, 7, continue on, 8, all these last little few bits and put the last few parts together, and you are finished and complete with your model. Let's take a moment to talk about the tools that I use. This is my standard set that I use in most every build. I have long needle nose pliers and flat nose pliers, useful for a variety of different things. I have flush clippers that I use to cut the parts off the trees. It makes it quick and easy. And then I have some precision tweezers, one with a very pointed end, one that's had the pointed end ground down slightly, and one with a flat, sort of curved end. Great for getting into curved areas. And then I have a standard set of tweezers with an angled tip. These come in one of the Iconics models, and I love them and use them a lot. When it comes to shaping rounded parts, there are many options. I used dowel rods for a long time. I sharpened the ends of 2 of them with a pencil sharpener. These 2 are great for making cone shapes. Another option is a cheap drill bit set. This set has quite a few different sizes to choose from. Another option is a set of step mandrels. For shaping ball shapes or dome shapes, I've got this fondant set, I believe it's called. I found it by accident, but essentially it's got different sized spears on the end of a stick, so it's easy to hold on to it while you put a part on it and shape it around, unlike a bead or marble that could accidentally pop out from under you and cause problems. We peeked at the directions, got our metal sheets here, talked a little bit about tools. I've got some basics to get me started. Let's build this model. These first round pieces are done a bit differently than I'm accustomed to. Instead of one long piece to curve around, there are 2 shorter pieces curving only half of the circle. I'm not sure, but I might just like this style a little better.
I should not have closed the part up yet. I still have parts to add and tabs to twist. When placing curved parts on other curved parts like this, getting tabs lined up can be tricky. I curved the end of one of these side tabs in a little to help it go into its slot at an angle. In such a tight place, bending tabs over is pretty much the only option. Bending the tabs on this part just right turned out to be trickier than I thought. I had to make more than one try, which cost me a tab. With one tab broken off, I turned to Loctite to hold the part on. In this video, I cut out some parts where I tried numerous times to get a part to fit or had to make multiple adjustments to something to allow it to fit. I try to show a little bit of everything, but sometimes you may see in a video that I make one or two adjustments, when in reality I made many more. I do that to move the build along. These builds take time. Be patient, take your time, and be prepared to make numerous test fits and adjustments during this or any build. It would have been wiser to leave this part open until after attaching the two sections together. The instructions seem to indicate to bend the center part of this long fin piece, but I am not so sure that is correct. I bent the tabs outward so that I could attach to the next section. I bent some of these tabs over with my fingernails and some of them I twisted. I usually try to start with dowel rods or drill bits that are a little larger than needed, but sometimes I get it wrong and start too small and have to go larger. I had to bend in the backside pieces quite a bit to get them close enough together to add on the next part. And I present to you the Resistance Bomber. A complex build, to say the least, especially this
long rounded body which comes together in numerous pieces and really took quite a bit of time, or at least it felt like quite a bit of time, to shape, round, and put together and line up all the tabs. And just, it's quite a bit different than the AT M6 and the TIE Striker that I've already done. They were fairly simple. This one is more complex. Now this build took 3 hours roughly to put together, and it feels like it was a little bit more, but that's just because shaping that main cylindrical body just seemed to kind of take forever, and I made a number of mistakes, closed things up when I should have left them open. There were some tabs that I didn't really show the full extent of how much I fought with trying to get them twisted and secured. Some tabs it took quite a while to get them lined up and connected, and it was just because it being a constant circular shape with pieces being added onto it, that just really slowed things down, and it was a challenge to do, but quite doable. But once you get past this upper rounded body, this large, giant, almost wing piece down there comes together fairly simply. The side pieces aren't that complicated, just a few odds and ends to add on here. Then you run into kind of the problem of getting these little thin strips on and bringing the tabs in enough to allow for it to come together, but you know, not that big a deal. It's a fun build. It's a challenging build, not quite overwhelmingly so, but a little bit frustrating for me. But in the end, as is often the case, quite worth it. Another Star Wars model to add to the collection. Can't wait to see it actually in the movie. That's when it'll be very exciting for me, but still got a little bit of time to wait for that to occur. As always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. If you like my videos and you want to see me continue to make them and bring them to you, please consider contributing to my Patreon. I'll put a link down in the description at the end of this video, also in my About page. So give it a thought. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep on keeping on.